Before we get into today's Cowboys Report, we are in a like battle this month against the Raiders Report. It is not really going our way. We are the top 2 teams NFL-wise for Chat Sports, not even really all that close. The Niners are like 7,000 likes behind us. Let's make sure we win. Like today's video, please and thank you. Let's dive into Trevon Diggs trade. This is back somehow, which we'll break down why I don't think it's very feasible. Bleacher Report is pushing this idea. They listed him in a, players who could use a fresh start trade piece, and they had a couple different reasons why they suggested a trade. From the Cowboys, they're like, hey, he's battled injuries. He hasn't been healthy. Maybe they could move on and, make him a post-June 1st trade, which would save them some additional money, which would also, big picture, free up even more on that side. So the injuries factor, the post-June 1st option. The Cowboys added other corners. They trade for Kaiir Elam. They go out, they draft Savone Revel pretty early, relatively speaking. The trade does free up money long-term for others like a Deron Bland. And even with the injuries, because of his playmaking, Bleacher Report argued that, a 2026 6th-round pick is the rough value, the rough estimation at this time for Trevon Diggs, which frankly, I think if he were to be traded, probably isn't that far off, because I don't think there's any market right now. This is why I don't think it happens, and I'll go more in depth kind of picking apart all of the arguments for Bleacher Report here. The reality of the situation the Cowboys are facing right now is this. Trevon Diggs is not going to be ready for week 1. I don't know if he's going to be ready at all in September, in October, November. There's a massive unknown coming off a significant knee injury of when Trevon Diggs is going to be healthy. And if you don't know when a high-priced player is going to be healthy, why would you trade for him? So first question for you guys of the day. Be honest with me. How many games does Trevon Diggs play this upcoming season? We'll do regular season games only. Let me know in the comments of today's show. I want to spend some time on this graphic, so bear with me for not changing the screen much. The Diggs contract. As of right now, a $12.59 million cap hit. There's almost $18 million in dead money if they cut him. So, it's more than the cap hit, right? So you're not going to cut him right now. The dead money in a trade is 8.8 for reasons we'll get to here in just a second. You cut him after June 1st, you save $647,000. That's not enough to pay a new player. So you're not going to cut him at that point. The post-June 1st trade savings are 9.6 because you're spreading out that dead money over 2 seasons. Diggs is owed $10 million in cash this year, $15.5 million in cash next year. $9 million is base salary this year, is already fully guaranteed. You could save, pre-June 1st next year, 12.6 what they release, 15.5 because he's out of guaranteed money. So if you're trading Diggs, if someone takes on that salary, you save a good amount of money because they owe Diggs $10 million. Who the hell's paying $10 million right now for Trevon Diggs coming off an injury when you don't know when he's going to be healthy? Why would a team do that? And the Cowboys did add corners. Does Kaiir Elam and Savone Revel make you feel immensely confident long term? Those are your guys? I think the upside for Dallas of Diggs getting back, Diggs being healthy, playing good football is far more valuable than just, let's just move on and guarantee one of Andrew Booth, Kaiir Elam, and Izzy Mukuamu start a bunch of games this year. Really? I think long term, there is a very real, if not possibility, probability, the Cowboys choose between Diggs and Bland. I think that ends up being more of a next offseason choice. You pay Diggs, the base salary is guaranteed. Let's see how it plays out. A 6th-rounder is a salary dump, essentially, which you save a bunch of money and you get a draft pick back that if you just wanted to move on, that probably would be a bit of a win. But, again, who's paying Trevon Diggs $10 million when you don't know when he's going to be healthy? So be honest with me. Looking ahead to 2026, then some final thoughts on the Diggs side. Will Trevon Diggs be on the Cowboys in 2026? Y for yes, N for no. Amid all those trade rumors, ideas, suggestions, theories, whatever you want to call them, I would not anticipate in any capacity a Trevon Diggs trade this offseason. And that is simply because he doesn't have value. We don't know when Diggs is actually going to be healthy. It's not going to be in time for week 1. What NFL team is going to give you a draft pick to take on $10 million in cash that's owed to Trevon Diggs this season when they have no idea when he's going to play? If he's going to play. I think he does play. But that's not a guarantee. I don't think it makes any sense for the other 31 NFL teams out there. Instead, whenever Diggs comes back and gets healthy, it's kind of setting up to be more of a make or break campaign. Can he show the previous career form? I hope he does, but that makes him kind of an unknown for this upcoming season. Let's move to Nick Chubb. Add Chad Ochocinco, a.k.a. /Chad Johnson. Whatever nickname he was going by over the years. Always loved him for the Bengals. Very fun player. He is now among the list of players, former players, media, fans advocating for Nick Chubb to the Cowboys. Not the first time we've heard of this. Probably we'll continue to hear about it until he gets signed somewhere. The best version of Nick Chubb as a pure runner, because he wasn't a superstar third down back, not bad, but as a pure runner, he was up there with anybody in football. He was awesome. He would average 5+ yards per carry on massive workloads, which you just don't normally see in the NFL because efficiency tends to drop with volume increasing. He was not good last year, though. The 3.3 yards per carry, does that actually move the needle? Like, if you get the 2024 version of Nick Chubb, does that move the needle? I think finding a needle mover in this running back room, and another one, would be great. Maybe that's Javonte Williams. Maybe that's Miles Sanders. Jaden Blue offers explosive, but he was also a 5th-round pick. Deuce Vaughn, Phil Maffa are late-round picks. So could Nick Chubb be that guy for you? I have thoughts. I want to hear from you guys first. Would you sign Nick Chubb? S for sign, P for pass. Sound off in the comments section of today's show. I understand the allure of potentially signing Nick Chubb to the Cowboys roster. At his best, he was one of the best running backs in the NFL. There were very few that were better than him as a pure runner. But that was then. This is now. He's entering his age 30 season, coming off another injury. And when he came back from last year's injury, he didn't look very good. He is a physical freak, but there does come a wall for all NFL players. Chubb averaged 3.3 yards per carry last season. Compared to Jerome Ford, who I don't think is that great, that's just bad. There's nowhere. It was bad. It was bad. We have to acknowledge that. Now, if you still want to sign him, okay, I get it. But it's with zero promises of anything. I'm not guaranteeing him a bunch of money. I'm not promising him a roster spot. He has to earn it. And if he does, sweet. Because then you're actually in that low-risk, high-reward territory. Because if it's bad, you just cut him, you move on, you kind of Dalvin Cook him, so to speak, right? Otherwise, if you're promising big money and promising playing time, then you're kind of in that Zeke reunion territory. And that's not a spot I want to be, because I don't think that's a fun spot to be. And you can get the George Pickens jersey. It says 00. He's wearing 13 at practices, but that's all temporary. Pre-order his jersey once that number is finalized at chatsports.com/Pickens. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Let's talk Kendall Fuller. Bleacher Report listed signing Fuller as the one move the Dallas Cowboys still need to make. Here was the pitch from Bleacher Report. Dallas can bring in Fuller to shore up its pass coverage. He can line up on the outside to fill in for Diggs, enters into the slot if none of the young defensive backs impress in nickel duties, which is really Izzy Mukuamu and Deron Bland. The 30-year-old has extensive experience playing on the boundary, on the outside, and as a nickel corner. We'll talk more in depth on Fuller because I don't mind this idea, actually. Name a corner, if there are any out there, who you would like to sign. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. I don't mind the idea of signing Kendall Fuller. I think in particular, this would be a training camp move. This is not a move you make today, you make tomorrow. This is a, let's see how those young guys impress. Let's see how the other players flash. Which is probably what Kendall Fuller wants to. The last thing he wants to do is go sign somewhere, and then, wow, Izzy Mukuamu's great, and Revel's great, and Elam looks like he's a new man outside of the Bills, and Fuller's like, well, now I'm corner 6, and I've wasted my chance, and I don't know where I'm going to go now. He probably wants to wait, too. So I think that would be your timeline there. At his best, Fuller's been pretty good. I think some of the decline has set in a little bit. And I think that should raise red flags and should raise concerns. But the thing I like about Kendall Fuller is he can play outside and on the nickel. He's been more of an outside corner in recent years. Early in his career, he played a little bit more nickel. He's done both. It's a reasonable assumption that is still the case, and he can do inside and outside. And if you have that additional player as CB4, that gives you really good depth at both spots. We will be live again today here on the Cowboys Report, so do not miss out. Hit that sub button at youtube.com/@CowboysTV.